Was yours 11.5%? Was it a bomber? It's gonna be a fun show. Yeah, I've got a couple big beers, so should be fun. Hey, we're on. That was quick. YouTube is on its game when I'm not. That's awesome. And no, Sams, it will not be pickle beer round 2. I doubt, unless someone wants to, like, here's the deal. The bar has been set. The bar has been set at, send me an RTX A5000, and I'll take 2 sips of a pickle beer. That's the bar. If you want to hit that bar, that's where I'll meet you. Otherwise, there will not be a round 2. Anyway, welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 255, your once-weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. Oh, hold on, we're all muted. Are we all muted? Dang it. Nope, we're not muted. John's muted.
Muted.
There we go. He wasn't saying anything interesting anyway. All right. Let's try that again. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 255, your once-weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
I'm John.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Wednesday night or in podcast form over on Anchor.fm or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, usually some Star Trek. All super chats are read on the air so long as they will not permanently demonetize the channel. We do drink alcohol on the show, and if you're drinking along with us, alcoholic or not, let us know in the chat, and we'll give some early show shoutouts as we go along. Last but not least, if you'd like to take part in these, had to empty the glass. Last but not least, if you'd like to take part in the super secret chat or the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon. Link is down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to the Discord server where you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and join the awesome community that hangs out over there. Like Dr. Ian Cuttress and all the other cool people who hang out. It's a great time.
There's a lot of other really nice YouTubers out there that are joined the Discord, and it's fun. It's a really great, fantastic community.
Techno Tim pokes his head around every once in a while. We've got Tom Lawrence from Lawrence Systems. We've got a lot of. I think Epos Vox is still part of it. So yeah, we got a lot of cool tech tubers over there, and. It's not just a place where I advertise myself. It's actually the place you'll probably hear about me the least.
Or just his problems.
Or just you'll get a preview of the how bad could it be videos or the what might have been videos. Gosh, what did I even call those? I had like 3 of them in a row. Where what could have been? What could have been?
Yeah.
There we go.
And all the different beers you're having because of it.
Yes. Oh, man. John, how's it going?
It's a good day so far. No.
Is it?
I had it's one of those days you're like, yeah, I need a lunch beer. Yeah, I need an Imperial.
Yep.
Yeah, I need like 20 ounces.
22. Yep.
So I was like, around 3 o'clock, I was like, oh, yeah, I like my job now. Yeah, my job's not too bad.
So you know the episode of Parks and Rec where give me all the eggs you have. Wait, I just want to make sure you heard me correctly.
Oh, yeah.
What I think you heard is give me a lot of eggs. What I said was give me all the eggs you have.
Yes.
I kind of feel that way when I go out and get a burger, and I'll order a beer. And usually when I go out, it's like, give me a Black Butte Porter or a Widmer Hef, or something
standard.
Something standard. That I usually don't go too exotic when I go out and get a beer, but they'll go 16 or 22, and my response is usually the Ron Swanson. I know what I'm about, son. Oh, it has been It has been a day. I've been putting a certain company on blast on Twitter all day. I don't know if anyone has seen that. We'll just start out with this. I'm really pissed off with Rokinon. Rokinon, the lens company. What could I possibly be pissed off at Rokinon for? I've owned over the years like somewhere between 8 and 10 of their lenses, and I've really never had anything bad to say. Well, I'll tell you what I have to say. I have $1,600 worth of useless junk sitting on my desk right now, all of which is less than 6 months old. In fact, the average of which is 3 months old. So I have, for my cameras, a full set of Rokinon Cine lenses. They are wonderful lenses, T1.5, color-tuned to each other. They're a wonderful set of lenses. Between this at like $350 to $500 a piece and spending about $2,000 per lens, you really can't do any better. And so I've got a full set of five Cine lenses. I've got their 14, I've got their 24, the 35, the 50, and the 85. And they're wonderful lenses. I have no complaints about their manual focus lenses. Last year, Rokinon started doing autofocus lenses. And where the Cine lenses have always been kind of like the best bang for the buck, and for the most part, very well built, over-engineered, metal housings, everything else. I discovered today that the AF lenses seem to have cut a few corners, especially when it comes to the lens mount. Now, the lens mount, you look at the back, it's got a rubber gasket, it's sealed, it's a professional-looking lens, it's very hefty, it's probably pushing a kilogram or close to 2 pounds just in a 24 to 70 f2.8 lens. It feels premium. It performs like a professional lens. I have been over the moon about its performance, both autofocus and just overall optics performance. However, all of that metal mount and rubber sealing doesn't do a damn bit of good if the lens mount is literally connected with 4 plastic standoffs that are about 1 inch tall each. And that's literally the only thing holding the lens to your camera. Now, I damaged a lens back in July. I had an incident where I knocked a camera off of my desk. And my cameras usually have lenses on them, and it fell off my desk, probably right around 3 feet. It landed lens first, and it sheared the lens mount straight off the lens. The camera body was undamaged at all, but it sheared the lens mount off, and I went, holy crap, that's the worst thing I've ever done to a camera. And I've dropped a camera 12 feet before, and had the lens hood bounce off the ground and go, ha 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 ha, like Punch Me Clown style. This is the most damage I've ever done to a lens. Where the mount is still on the camera and the lens is 3 feet away. I felt awful. I felt like throwing up. So I just bit the bullet and went, you know what? That's my bad. I'm going to buy another lens. I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus. I'm not going to talk about lens quality, although a professional lens at $800 should be able to survive a 2-foot drop. I'm not even going to do that. This was on me. The second lens, I bought the exact same lens, the exact same Rokinon 24 to 70. Because I was so happy with the overall performance of it. It's been the workhorse of my channel for the last 6 to 8 months. Bought the exact same lens. This lens has been babied. It is lived on the camera body and has lived on a tripod in a climate-controlled environment its entire life. Nothing ill has ever beset this lens. There's not even been awkward glances or farts in an elevator. I cannot think of a lens that I've taken better care of.
So descriptive.
It is what it is. I went to take that lens off my camera today. because I needed to do a shoot with some of my Rokinon Cine lenses. I needed to do some B-roll and do some, very fine-tuned autofocus and put it on my rail slider and that kind of thing. So I went to swap out my lens today. I had the camera upright and I took the lens off vertically. When I did that, it dropped a screw onto my lens sensor, or onto my camera sensor.
Okay.
And I looked at the lens, and I went, well, that's unusual. Maybe it just needs a bit of Loctite. I naively said to myself. Maybe the vibrations from my basement studio rattled this screw loose. So I decided to take the other 3 screws out of the lens and inspect and make sure everything was okay, and then put it all back together, and I was going to Loctite it up. I went to take out a second screw, and that second screw wouldn't back off at all. Well, that's curious.
Yeah.
So finally I got that screw backed off, but the threads obviously weren't engaging with anything anymore, as was the problem with the first screw that, again, fell into my camera body. Got all 4 screws out, pulled it off, and all 4 of those lens mount posts had disintegrated.
This was a new lens, right?
This is a brand new lens. 3 months old. Purchased July 6th of this year. Lived on the camera body and on a tripod its entire life. Never been traveled with. Never been around the globe. It's never even been, on an airplane. I haven't taken this lens anywhere but this room. It arrived in this room. It was placed on the camera. And it's literally been there ever since.
Sounds like you got screwed.
So yeah, thank you. So the first lens that I went through, I went a little disappointed for a pro lens that it couldn't take a 2-foot drop. Have you ever used a Canon L series lens or a Nikon Nikkor lens or a Zeiss or anything like that? They're literally tanks. They are the epitome of why you spend $2,000 for a 35mm prime lens. They are built to a certain standard that, think about the fridge that your grandma had that she bought brand new in 1966. And that same fridge that was still working when you turned 40. That fridge that still works today, that's kind of how Canon L series lenses and Nikkor lenses and the old Rokkor lenses from Minolta, there's just a different standard quality build of those types of parts. Rokinon, not following that same build quality. So at first I thought it was just the 2 exposed posts that had broken and gave way on this camera, and I was wow, I'm really disappointed in this. And upon taking pictures and posting them to Twitter and getting to see them on something other than my cell phone and my poor eyesight, I went, oh look, all 4 posts that hold the lens to the mount have literally disintegrated inside this lens body. Rokinon, I want my $1,600 back.
Yeah.
I've gone through 2 lenses in 6 months now. I didn't get into this business expecting lenses to be consumables. I didn't realize that they were they had a mileage limit on them. And apparently the mileage limit is about 15 feet, because that's all the second one is moved in its entire lifespan after being shipped to me from B&H.
Well,
but
it's that autofocus that just totally disintegrates the screws. There's a warning that says after 3 autofocuses,
right,
you get 1 autofocus.
you can
per
rack
screw.
it 3 times. On the 4th, that's done.
Done.
You know.
Yeah.
To put it mildly, I'm fairly annoyed. So wasn't going to start the show with that, but here we are.
So after that, Jeff, what are you drinking?
Oh, I've got a couple ones. I'm letting one warm up just a little bit, bit. And I'll tease just a little bit here. How's that? Okay.
Okay.
Letting that one.
I already know just from the wax. I have a good guess.
Do you want to fathom a guess on it?
All right, I will guess it is Crux Tough Love.
No.
Oh, it's not.
It's
Is it
not
Crux?
Crux.
Oh, the wax looks like Crux.
It does look like Crux. It's even got the little, they love doing that, like let it hang.
They love doing like the extra drips and whatnot.
Yeah, like Fremont and Crux are the two that usually do that, and Fremont's a completely different color. It's neither.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's not Crux, and it's not a stout.
Is that sent to you?
Yes.
Or is it local?
Sent to me. Okay.
Okay. All right, so that's harder.
In the meantime, it's spooky season.
Oh, okay. Go with that one.
I'm going with that one first. Do you think I got a pumpkin wax seal? Are you mental?
I might have.
Well, okay then. This comes from Southern Tier Brewing. This is what I feel is the only coffee or the only pumpkin drink that I would ever want. Outside of like a cider. Like I've had some pumpkin infused ciders, they're pretty good. Two Towns does a pretty good one with their pumpkin series. They've got a bad pumpkin and an even worse pumpkin or something like that. They're like 12.5%.
Yeah.
Oh, they're delicious. This is from Southern Tier Brewing, and it is a cold brew pumpkin nitro stout. 8.6%. Cold brew coffee and pumpkin. So that's what I'm going with.
I have a question. Was that sent to you, or did you buy that?
I bought this locally.
Where did you buy that locally?
I bought this at the shop that's closest to my house, and you know the one that I'm talking about.
I know the one. I cannot find any Southern Tier around me because I am trying to find pumpkin, just the original one.
Yeah.
And I can't find it anywhere in the Portland area.
Yeah.
At least the few distance I have.
I bought this one, and I bought it actually a couple months ago. It's been in my fridge since like July, August.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, whatever. I guess my video will just not have Southern Tier.
And sorry, this is not a stout. This is simply an ale that was brewed with coffee and pumpkin. So it's actually a kind of a lighter color.
Oh, yeah. Kind of more like a blonde stout.
Yeah.
Well, for my first, since my other one is a bit bigger, I think I'll save that for that. I'm going to go with a collaboration of Toppling Goliath and North Park, and it is their Dino Park Double Imperial IPA. So it is their Pseudo Sue
and the
whatever the one from Jurassic Park that took out the IT
guy. Oh gosh, I had Diplodocus?
I don't remember what they called it. The one that spits.
Yeah. That doesn't actually spit or have the frilled ridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That they made up. But yeah, this is, I think it's, with Citra, Strata, and Galaxy.
Nice. It's a nice little combo. I will say, holy crap, this head. Like I've had nitro beers before. Nitro is nothing new to me. Left Hand makes a phenomenal nitro stout. There's a number of other nitro beers that I've had. This is probably the thickest head I've ever seen on a beer. Ever. Like.
Oh yeah, look at that. That's a thick beer. Or a thick head.
Like. This is about where you want to pull your meringue when you're whipping it. Like it's that thick.
I know those are the type of beers like you want to like almost cook with or make desserts with, just because you know they would be so good.
Right. Right.
I want to make a dessert with that.
That is very interesting. That is very interesting.
Is that your only one, or have you had it before?
This is my only one. I bought a single can.
You want pumpkin beers there? You're like, single. That's all I want.
Right. Yeah. Just give me one. I will review that momentarily. We do have a super chat. Kren chimes in with his traditional 2 Aussie bucks and says, "G'day, mates. How about a bit of pickle cheesecake?"
No.
No.
You're talking to the 2 people on this channel that absolutely hate pickles and mushrooms. I do agree with Jeff on that.
Thank you. We normally don't see eye to eye on like anything, but pickles, mushrooms, good on you, sir.
I'm also not a raw tomato guy.
Yeah. I will do, like, I'm not gonna like pick up a tomato and bite into it. I do like tomatoes on certain burgers, on certain sandwiches. It's not like every burger needs a tomato. I'm not like one of those people.
Yeah.
But like if I'm doing like a teriyaki burger needs a pineapple ring and a tomato. Like some bacon cheeseburgers, you got to have a tomato to balance it out. Yeah.
No. See, to me, it's just like with you and the pickles or the mushrooms. If it touched it, no, it's ruined. The juice is on there. You can never get the juice off. It tastes it. But I do like tomato sauce based items.
Yeah.
You know, lasagnas, spaghettis, pastas, all that stuff. I like that a lot.
I think
just don't like raw. I like cooked tomatoes, like sun-dried tomatoes. Got no problem with sun-dried tomato. It is the juiciness and everything else that just kind of oozes over your food. My biggest problem is also cold to hot ratio things. If I'm having a burger, I like everything to be the temperature of that burger or food. I don't like a cold item.
I get that.
With,
yeah,
so.
I will say when I get burgers, I want the burger piping hot.
Yes.
I want the cheese still liquid. I want the burger piping hot. But
juice is flowing,
right?
It's still sizzling.
And most of the items that are on a burger typically, like the onions, I want the onions just as hot as the burger is. I want them crispy, but I want them hot. And but then I also like appreciate some of the colder stuff. Like I love a good romaine lettuce or iceberg lettuce on it. Giant leaves and whatnot. I get both camps when it comes to burgers. Like. I'm not with you on the absolutely no tomato, though.
No, I can't. Well, see, I'm the opposite, though, with mushrooms, is I can take some mushrooms.
Oh, no.
Say, like, no. I could do a mushroom soup. I could do sauteed mushrooms on a steak. That's fine. But there are certain other mushrooms I'm just like, no.
I can do mushroom soup, like cream of mushroom, if you're putting it over, like, a brisket or something like that, and it's more of a flavor. If there's no chunks, I'm okay. For me with mushrooms, it's 80% texture, but there's still 20% of the flavor that I have to deal with, and it better be balanced.
Oh, yeah. Like, I don't like people that do the portobello mushroom steaks. Like, I can't. No, that's nasty. That does not taste like a steak. I took one bite, like, nope. Yeah. I've been trying to be a bit more like, I'll try one bite, but I'm like, no. Avocado. I hate avocado.
Yeah. Oh, I love avocado.
I can't taste
avocado.
Anything guac or avocado.
So
sour
good.
Cream. I hate sour cream.
I could do sour cream. So there was one other thing that I wanted to get to, and that was Dual Bearded Tech, longtime friend of the channel. Apparently his son Tristan got married today. So congratulations, Tristan. Many happy years. May you wallow in misery with the rest of us one day. No, I'm kidding.
Welcome to the start of the end of your
No, that is awesome.
Yes, congrats. Cheers to that.
As I like to say, I've been married for 16 years and 7 of them happily. No.
At least 2.
At least 2. Yes.
And those are all when I'm by myself.
No, I don't abide by the. I'm married to my wife and I hate her. I love my wife. Like,
Oh, yeah.
There's a reason I married her. She's my absolute best friend. So Tristan, congrats. Let's see. Zachary chimes in with $100. Tomorrow is me and the missus' 10th anniversary. Congratulations, Zach. Can we get a shout out to my wife and all partners who put up with our expensive, hot, loud shenanigans and our home lab gear too?
Right there.
Here. My wife puts up with so much, but I also like to think that it's also why she married me. Like, was I into all of the hobbies that I have now 16, 18 years ago? No. But at the same time, I think she appreciates the handiness that comes with being married to someone like me. And in fact, I'm John, you're in this story.
Oh, look at that.
John, you're in this story. So about a year ago, I purchased a CNC machine, kind of on a whim. See? And invested a fair amount into it. I'm about $650, almost $700 invested into it. And started producing some items that will be for sale. Not necessarily like Etsy store stuff, but started doing some items for sale. Partially for a family friend. We do a haunted house every year. I'm the manager of a haunted house, and we started producing some water bottles for him. And I went, well, hell, I have a laser cutter. I might as well, get some legs out of it. And made some, honestly, kick-ass water bottles for him. So I started looking at it, and I went, well, if I can make water bottles for him, what kind of water bottles can I make for me? So John has seen one. And the mods in the Discord have seen the water bottle that will very shortly be for sale. LTT store, eat your heart out, is all I have to say.
It's a lot better. It really is.
It's a kick-ass water bottle. But I wanted to make them at home. And so I decided to upgrade my laser cutter. So John is going to be buying my existing CNC laser, which is a fine unit in itself.
Yeah.
But I bought myself a $1,500 or $1,600, like, really nice. It's a 24-watt diode laser. When I say 24-watt diode, it's actually a 24-watt. It's 4 6-watt diodes that will combine their beams into a single 24-watt. It's came out just a couple of months ago. It's awesome. But it'll be able to produce things at speed and at scale for me if I'm wanting to make like 50 of something. Wink, wink. And I'm also embarking on, like, for those who also don't know, I also used to be a CNC machinist in a past life. So I've got some of this stuff like already in my blood, and I've been itching to get back into it. And this just kind of gave me an excuse. My wife has had this crazy idea of she does a lot of sewing and cosplay and costuming and things like that. She has always wanted a fabric laser cutter. A laser cutter that can cut, kind of similar to what I'm looking at, large projects at scale faster than you can blink. Now, I don't know if you've ever tried to cut fabric with a 5-watt laser. It actually goes really quick, and you get nice clean edges, and you can produce the same item time after time on a whim. Just lay your fabric down, done. Whereas my wife would sit there and like cut out patterns for like 2 hours and then tape them together and then cut the fabric, which would take another hour. Man, I would rather sit down on my computer for 20 minutes and just zip and be done. I don't know where John went, but he's back. But I'm building my wife a 4-foot by 6-foot diode laser. So, John, your purchase of my old CNC is going to fund literally the frame of the new laser cutter. So the wife gets a new laser, I get a new laser, John gets a new laser. Everybody wins.
Everyone's
See?
winning.
So you all put up with our hobbies, but you all subscribed to our hobbies. So you knew what this was when you signed that agreement.
I like to think that they saw something in us and this craziness expands, but it also, like you said, helps in other ways too. There are other treats they get. It's kind of like I don't want to say a long-term investment, but they saw a potential and it's just growing. Now it's growing in other ways too that might cost more, but we're also bringing in possibly more revenue or bringing new.
Oh, there he goes. Yeah, bringing in new revenue. My wife is a very talented seamstress, and she's been wanting to get into doing a lot more costuming and things of that sort. Commissioning cosplays and things like that. This will give her a much faster turnaround and honestly will result in lower prices for clients that want to reach out to her. So hopefully John will join our stream again. Otherwise, this is going to be a very awkward conversation because we really don't have a lot of news to talk about today. The RTX 4090 embargo lifted this morning. And... Oh, you're back? Are you back? There you are.
I think so. Thanks,
okay.
Comcast.
Okay. Thanks, Comcast, on either end. So...
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's been a strong connection, and then all of a sudden my connection just drops, and then 30 seconds later it turns on. And even my Wi-Fi goes out.
Yeah, a couple people chiming in. Scotty says, just put in the order for an extra 20-watt diode and infrared modules. That's awesome. I bought for myself, actually, one of the diodes is over there. So for my wife's module, I bought her a 2x5, so it's two 5-watt diodes, so she has a 10-watt actual output on it. And it's smaller than a 0.1 millimeter focus. It's a 0.8 by 0.1 or something like that. So it's a really small focus point on the diode itself. And it should be able to just carve through literally whatever she wants to put down. Also, since we're getting her a nice module, it actually uses the same carriage that my new 4x6 watt will use for a 24-watt output. So if I wanted to carve out or engrave plywood or things like that on a 4-foot by 6-foot platform, I also am going to have the ability to take out her laser and use my 24-watt with air assist to cut literally whatever I want. You want like a 4-foot by 6-foot map of Middle Earth? Done. So I'm very much looking forward to some of our new manufacturing and creator gear that we're going to be having around the house. But take this as a very, very loose announcement on the Patreon and the float plane that some exclusive merch is going to be coming to that platform that I will only be selling if you're also a backer. Yes, it requires a buy-in for stuff like this, but hey, it's in-house merch. What do you want? I'm not going to produce 1,000 of these. But things like water bottles or plaques or various other things, those are going to start coming. So keep an eye out. There will be an announcement probably within the next couple of weeks, though. That will come in the form of a video and a prototype. So I have one, and Rhett has the other prototype of our craft computing water bottles. So, and we lost John again. Awesome. All right. Let's see. What's chat doing? $40 water bottles? I'm hoping for slightly less. I'm hoping for right around the $35 price point. Now, on the existing... Sounds like John's coming back. On my first run with my 5.5 watt diode, the water bottle cut was 6 hours. That's not cheap to do. You know, when you can only produce 3 per day when you're awake, that's not cheap to do. So I was gonna almost be forced to do like $40. I'm trying to get the cost down to about $35 when it actually comes out. But yeah, hopefully, like I said, I'm hoping for a $35 price point end of the day. But remember, these are also low production and in-house. Like, every water bottle I actually put on the cutter myself, and I did all the designing myself. I did all of the machine work myself. I did all of the final polish work myself. There's a little bit of Jeff in every bottle. Let's see, call up Skull from the miners. We might have to if this doesn't get any better. I'm sure Skull has some opinions on Ada graphics cards, because that's literally the only item I have on my list for today is RTX 4090s and what I thought of the review cycle this time around. When is she making you a Star Trek gray-black uniform? I'm not necessarily around the gray-black unless you're talking about the DS9 era with like the gray shoulders and then just the colored tunic underneath, because I'm totally about that. And that's actually been on my list for a long time. But eventually I will get one of those. So we'll see how that goes. Let's see. You get a laser. You get a laser. Everyone gets a laser. Yes. Let's see. Start spooling up CAD files for Jeff's printing and cutting capabilities. And that's the thing, is I'm actually thinking about starting to do like some commission work as well on the side. Since I am getting some of this equipment and will be well acquainted with it, it might be something that I can spin up pretty quickly. Let's see. Skull, this could be your moment to shine. Skull says, would have to redact some things in my office at the moment. You know what? I'm going to give John another 3 minutes. Oh, it looks like he's sitting down. Hopefully we have John back.
Hey, all right.
Hey.
Nice. All right. Did you talk about the embargo lift already?
We did not talk about the embargo lift. In fact, okay. We were just about ready to call Skull up from the minor leagues to fill a certain position.
Oh, no. Just Wi-Fi, the router. I don't know what's going on. So my wife's saying it's been happening for 2 days. It's like, great, thanks for telling me.
Yeah.
Been looking up at Comcast, no outages in your area. It's like, okay, I don't really have time to look at this right now.
Yeah.
Reset.
Yep.
Do that.
Hopefully that'll fix it. When you walked up to reset it, it actually came back on its own.
Of course, that's the way it always works, right?
So I don't know what that means. But, let's see. Hold on, there's a certain comment here that I have to address. So I want to walk across the room and show it off. One sec. John, do you have something to talk about?
I mean, I can.
Tell you what, fill 30 seconds for me.
Fill 30 seconds. Okay, I can fill 30 seconds. Well, you know what we never did? It was actually go through the top chats. I know this is running really kind of late, and people are saying also that they can't hear me, but we never saw anyone what they're drinking today, and we usually do like to talk about that. So did anyone mention what they're saying in drinking in the chat? If you tried it already, or changed your drink, I meant, go ahead and do it. We got Dean is probably already done with that Blue Moon. That's fine. William is having a Steel Reserve Lager. I haven't had one of those in a very, very, very long time. Get a hold. Let's see. Married? Nope, that's nothing else. Nope. Okay, so gearing up for some Oktoberfest brews, Sean. It's so hard with Oktoberfest brews that you get the Marsens, you get, the lagers and maltier beers, but then also around here you get the pumpkin beers, and then you get stouts and fresh hop, especially here in the Pacific Northwest. Lots of fresh hop beats out Oktoberfest beers.
Oh, fresh hop beers always win.
Yeah, so I was trying to go through. We never did the shout-outs to the drinks, and so I was trying to go back to that.
Oh, gotcha.
And
yeah, we never reviewed those. Mijik says, so you're going to get a Revo Point pop and start doing some 3D modeling, as if I don't already have one. That was the whole point. Was to walk across the room and grab my 3D scanner.
3D modeler. Are you going to start doing your face now?
Actually, I had done my face once before. I didn't necessarily know that I wanted a 3D copy of my face floating around the internet, though. Yeah. Anyway, so I bought this a while back. For those that don't know, this is a... would you call this a rotoscope? A stereoscopic 3D scanner. So it uses an infrared grid that shines onto an object and then uses two cameras to both record the grid as well as texture data and recreate a 3D image in real time. Actually, what's funny is RevoPop recently reached out and they were wanting to do some ad integrations for their laser scanner. And I went, totally, just send one over so I can play with it. And so hopefully that ends up working out. That was like a couple weeks ago and I haven't heard back yet. So yeah, hopefully that'll turn out into something. But yes, no, getting into more maker things, it has always been very high on my list. Like and eventually I want to use Craft Extra to kind of showcase some of the stuff that I'm doing. In fact, when I start putting together my lasers, those will probably end up on Craft Extra, because I don't know that they do all that well on the regular Craft computing, but I think there's some people who still want to see that stuff come together. So I feel it's a great use of the second channel. So I can still share what I want and don't have to worry about the view hit. Let's see.
Let's see. Hang on. What else? There was something else. Oh, yes. We have, what is it? Darn it. We got 132 watching right now, but only 35 likes. So remember to hit that like button on this video. Subscribe, like Jeff was talking about, too, if you wanted to. And I don't know if you pimped it out already, because usually I'm the only one that does it. The Discord, because to see all those awesome CNC stuff and products that you're going to have, and the extra channels. And so make sure to also sub to Craft Extra to check all the cool latest. Right now, it is mostly a clip show, but as you have heard, you want to be on top of the game to get all of those new upcoming videos that are coming out. So be that. Go and do that right now. That's Jeff's video.
Sorry, I'm texting my wife to see if she can bring me down my my water bottle, so I can just kind of go.
You just need like a mechanical Lazy Susan in the background.
Right.
Just rotating it.
So I'll give you all I'll give you all a very, very brief sneak preview.
Here's what we do. If we can hit 50 likes, you should give a preview.
We're at 56 likes.
Are we?
Yeah. The official tally is 56.
All right, then 100.
100 likes, and I'll do the I'll do a preview. Zachary wants to know A16 versus A5000 win, referencing the RTX A5000 and RTX A16 that I have both of currently in my possession. So actually, the first card up is going to be the P100. Yeah, Pascal, 16 gigs of HBM2. Oh yeah. That's going to be the first video. I'm still working on trying to unlock vGPU for the A16. But I likely won't do a direct comparison between the A16 and the A5000 because it's a 4 GPU with 1280 CUDA cores versus a single GPU with literally like 4800 CUDA cores. Like, One sec.
You got it. All right, 100 likes, so let's do this.
Hey, look at that. Just like that, we're at 85 likes, so 15 more. And
Dang, I'm good at this.
and I'll show you guys the thing that's in my hand. The other thing that's in my hand. Sorry.
Whoa, family-friendly
Family-friendly show. What are you doing, Jeff? It's a water bottle joke. What?
Wow. Go ahead.
So, yeah. I don't think I'll compare them directly against each other. Let me verify my numbers here. The A5000 is an 8,192 CUDA core with 24 gigs of memory. And it's a single die with a single memory pool. The A16 is 4 1280 CUDA core with 16 gigs of video memory each. And it's more for video rendering and like stream encoding than it is for rasterization.
I didn't hit like.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 more.
Yeah, 98. 98. 2 more. 2 more.
Hit dislike.
Yep. We're gonna hit it. So I'm waiting.
Come on. Just need 2 more. Jeff, did you hit like?
I didn't hit. I don't like my own things, unlike you do.
Actually, I do a lot. Most of my dislikes are my dislikes now. I was like, yeah, it wasn't good enough. The camera was shaky. Dark. Warp stabilizer.
Hey, there it is.
Horrible.
All right, we hit triple digits. All right. So here is the Craft Computing water bottle. So this is not the best image of it. And let me tell you, the camera does not do this justice. This thing is gorgeous. So it is a full wraparound design. This bottle comes as just a powder-coated bottle. And what I've done is I've etched away the powder coating. And so there's actually a texture to it on all of the circuit traces. And it's stainless steel underneath. And it is absolutely freaking gorgeous.
Can I question? Can I share the image on Discord?
I'd rather you didn't.
Okay, that's why I asked first.
Yeah, I'd rather the original image not be shared, simply because that is now a copyright Craft Computing image.
Well, no, the ones you, the one of the
bottle, the pictures of the bottle.
Of the bottle.
Yes, you may share those. Yeah.
So if you want to see a better image, join the Discord.
Yeah. So I'm hoping to have these available for about $35. I've got some work to do still to make that a reality. So this is a 24-ounce water bottle with a captive lid, which I really like. It's also got the carabiner hook on it. And double wall insulated stainless steel. And this is a 100% custom. I did license a good chunk of this design, but I had to heavily modify the circuit pattern that's on it in order to fit my logo and then to have it wrap around the bottle. But you can see there's less than a finger width of space between this is the bottom and this is the top. So these will be available for sale, but they are going to be backer exclusives only. So that means Patreon and Floatplane. So link in the description if you want to find out the announcement date for those and everything else that goes along with that. And the reason I'm doing it that way is I simply don't have the capacity to make like 500 of them if that comes up. I'm going to be lucky if I can make 50. But I will be taking pre-orders for them. And honestly, if my 640 total backers on Discord end up buying one, I will make 640 of them, like guaranteed. But I don't necessarily want to open it up to all 282,000 subscribers that I have on YouTube right now, because I don't have that kind of manufacturing capacity. Now, I could probably farm this out, but I think there's also some value in, like, Jeff literally made this himself. This will be made in my garage and then shipped directly from me. So
version 1 is Jeff, version 2 is Rhett, and it's slightly tilted.
Actually, version 1 was Rhett, and the rotary caught a couple of times on his. So some of the CPU pins right here, one of them's a little skinny. Like I said, these are my prototypes. It's okay.
So they're vintage. So he will sign those, and those will be rare.
Right. All factory flaws come as is. Yeah. No, I did actually buy my new laser and a new rotary for it. That should be 100% perfection as they're coming out. Put Rhett to work. Yeah, Rhett's going to be probably shipping these out himself. So we're going to source some boxes to ship these in. The Rhett rejects. Nice.
They all need a stamp of Rhett approval.
So I don't mean to like poo-poo any of my other merch, and I'm not trying to like compete with myself here. The merch on my store is not bad, but it's also print on demand. There's only a certain level that you can get when it's print on demand and not manufactured for a specific purpose to a certain standard, etc. I've designed all the things that are on my merch store, craftcomputing.store. And I'm actually really proud of what we've been able to do with like the TOS inspired shirts, the uniform inspired shirts, my out of beer logo that I've got. That's also an amazing design. And what we get from there is pretty darn good, but it's still print on demand style products. They're good and they're good quality, but they're not purpose built. They're not craft. How's that? And eventually I'd like to get there, and I will probably stop doing print on demand at some point. At the moment, print on demand makes sense because I'm just not a logistics company. But eventually, I'd like to get to the point where I'm either manufacturing my own stuff or distributing my own stuff or both.
Yeah.
So
that's where you get the quality. That's where you get that seal, that touch. That's what people like about creators too. Mm-hmm. Is there's that little bit of hand involved. Sure, the print on demand stuff, it's I designed this logo, but again, like you said with this one, you etched it, you had to do it, and then you're doing each one. There's a little mistake because Rhett messed up. You're like, oh well, but it still kind of worked. It's right. The fans that wanted these items, they kind of want that.
Now the other thing that I'm thinking. So this is the 7-segment digits that came out that were part of the artwork that I purchased. I've been thinking about letting Discord people customize and be able to put their names in if they want to spend a little extra. So that may be another announcement in conjunction with this, so you can get your Discord name etched on the bottle.
There you go.
Yeah.
But you got to do it like computer lingo of text and numbers.
Right. Yeah. No, I was looking at doing like 7-segment letter design. Yeah. And then making, each one individually and shipping it out. So that wouldn't be very much work to do on my end. I mean, it's still a little bit of design work for each individual name, especially if your name would wrap around the top. So that might take a little bit, extra consideration, but yeah. Merchandising, where the real money from YouTube is made.
No truer words have been spoken.
That's right.
Everyone thinks YouTubers make money.
No. LTTstore.com accounts for over a third of their revenue, and it accounts for more revenue than they make from YouTube. So it's a real thing. And I kind of want a piece of it. Like I didn't get into this to just
make videos,
be able to quit my day job. Like I got into this to be able to have fun and also make money. So character limit or it gets 0. Skull very elite. Yeah 5K 411. Yeah. Sounds like I'm a stormtrooper. 5K 411. Why are you not at your post? 5K 411. Do you copy? Looks like you've got a bad transmitter. Although in Skull's case, it might be a bad motivator.
There we go. My chat was disabled.
Zing! All right. We do have, believe it or not, one story to talk about this week. And it involves the RTX 4090.
Yep.
Now, this is going to be a little bit different take on the RTX 4090. I will say I watched every review as you guys did as they came out. I was witness to the embargo release at 6 o'clock this morning, just like the rest of you. Part of that comes down to, quite honestly, the pandemic, as far as why I haven't gotten access to products like this before. And it's a good chunk to do with because a lot of getting involved with PR companies is still being able to shake hands in person. I haven't had a chance to do that since 2020 at CES, and I was finally starting to make inroads, and I made a couple good inroads with some PR companies and different OEMs and AIBs and things like that. But with the GPU shortage, they kind of went, we're just going to work with the 10 people we already know. And that wasn't me. So years ago, you'd be looking at someone with almost 300,000 subscribers and going, surely they can review like every card they want and any card they want, and I can't even get an email back. Don't know why it is, but
well,
I haven't been able to.
Server guy, Jeff.
Right. And then the server people go, well, you're a consumer guy, Jeff. And I'm like, I can be both. It's okay.
And then everyone's like, you just drink beer, Jeff.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. Like, well, you got me there.
Anyway, my own 1% issue aside, I do have a little bit different take on the RTX 4090 reviews. Now, if you haven't seen them, the 4090 lives up to the hype. The 4090 is bare minimum 50 to 60% faster than the RTX 3090 when it is not being CPU limited in 4K, 120 hertz, RTX ray traced circumstances. And yes, it's being CPU limited in 4K with ray tracing enabled in some circumstances. It's insane. I've been talking to a couple people before release, and there's never been a bigger jump in performance than we've seen between Ampere and Ada. And the leap between Turing and Ampere was pretty big already, and the leap between Maxwell and Pascal, as I highlighted this last week, was also freaking insane. This leap is monumentous. It is once in a lifetime kind of stuff. Now, what is my take on the RTX 4090? My take is this release cycle has a lot to do with why EVGA pulled out of the graphics industry entirely. Let me explain. For the last couple generations, NVIDIA has been staggering their release cycle, which is not unusual. They do the 90 series first, or the 90 and the 80, or the 80 and the 70, and then they'll release some variants of that. They'll release the 60, and then the TIs, and then the Supers, and then the Super TIs, and you know, it's always got to be a new product that comes out. But we all know these are just different bins and different enabling of cores within the same 5 dies that they're releasing. There's the GA102, there's the GA104, GA106, GA107, GA100 when you get to the enterprise space, and the 3090 Ti. But it's all variants of the same silicon. So staggering your release of a product line is actually kind of the normal thing to do anymore. This release was a little different. This release with the RTX 3090 starts with the very top-end card first. Not only did they start with the top-end card first, they also held an embargo for add-in board partner cards until 24 hours after the release of the RTX 4090 embargo. So the only reviews that you got to see today, very similar to the RTX 3090 when it came out, are of the Founders Edition card. You could unbox the Zotac amp, and you could unbox the Aorus, and you could unbox the MSI Aero or whatever other cards are available. But you couldn't talk about them. You couldn't even show them installed. You couldn't show the fans spinning. You couldn't do anything related to performance or benchmarks or anything. All you could do was show performance and benchmarks for the RTX 4090 Founders Edition today. Why did EVGA pull out of the graphics market entirely? It's because they're tired of competing with the hand that feeds them. The hand that feeds them is NVIDIA. They are beholden to NVIDIA's partner program in manufacturing cards at NVIDIA's behest. At NVIDIA giving them so many allocations of cards and saying, you will produce X number of 60 series cards and X number of 70 series cards, and you will sell them. And if the market takes a dive, the risk is on you. And EVGA said enough, and they backed out of the market. Have I talked to anyone at EVGA about the circumstances? No. I was not at the conference call. I've spoken to a couple people at EVGA behind the scenes, but more to find out, what does this mean for you personally? Like, are you going to be okay? Is your position all right? Is EVGA taking care of you? Like, I'm reaching out as a friend, not as a media contact. Because the media was secondary to me when that announcement happened, because it took everyone by surprise. But we've been seeing this more and more and more, really since Pascal, since the Founders Edition of Pascal launched, where NVIDIA is trying to directly compete with their add-in board partners. Not only are they directly competing with their add-in board partners with their Founders Edition cards, they are giving artificial advantages to the Founder Series cards, both in the launch media, at retail, when it comes to binning, when it comes to advertising and marketing, when it comes to the review cycle in general. Also, NVIDIA is taking none of the risk when it comes to pricing the cards or inventory management. Because to be an added board partner card, you have to purchase so many cards from NVIDIA, and that number is literally baked into your contract. NVIDIA says you will purchase 10,000 units or 30,000 units or 50,000 units from us, and you will get a sampling of, GA 102s and GA 104s and 106s and 107s, and you will produce the card SKUs that we tell you to produce. Now, you don't get to use the Founders boards. Oh, no. No, you have to completely engineer your own solutions and then have them signed off by NVIDIA, which means you can't do fancy things like put 2 dies on a GPU anymore. No, that'd be competing with NVIDIA. You can't increase the overclocking headroom by so much. Oh no, that'd be competing with NVIDIA's Founder cards. You will produce these cards within this specification and sell them for this price. And if the market suddenly decides that we don't want to buy cards for $1,500 anymore, guess who's going to take the hit? The add-in board partners. So NVIDIA is literally playing the king and letting its lords sell grain that were harvested from the king's land, but the king says, you get so much grain and you're going to sell it for this price, and I expect to get my bounty from grain that was harvested in my land. But if you lose everything, that's on you.
Yeah, it's this is a very interesting thing, because the NVIDIA or the EVG stuff came out a month ago, basically 1 month, almost to the day.
Yeah.
That this happened, and like you said, I don't know anyone ever saw this coming, because just like with the 30 series, there was the Founders Edition, but then there was all the other aftermarket ones about, I don't know, 3 weeks to 1 month later that the reviewers, like you were saying, got to review or release, I should say. And it almost came out, though, that the performance in some of those were like 10, 15%, a little bit better, or the cooling was a little bit better. Like you were saying, they found their own solutions to things. It was a little bit harder. And I don't, that to me comes off odd of did NVIDIA take that as a slap in the face? What's going on? And I do believe, if I remember correctly, because this was, 2 years ago, technically?
Yeah, 2 years is when 3080 and 3090 launched.
Yeah, they were even like $50 cheaper, I think, than the Founders cards. So they're even undercutting the price. I don't know if NVIDIA is doing kind of almost like a big beer domestic buyout, just saying, hey, you can no longer produce this beer. We're not going to do any of the craft stuff type thing. You can't do that. And then EVG was like, screw this. We're out. Although, I'm curious, what are they going to do now? Because they've indicated that they're not even going to partner with AMD or Intel yet.
Right.
They're just muddied in the water as of right now. We don't know.
EVGA is literally stepping to the side and going, we need to consider what part of the industry we want to be in moving forward. Like, that's really what EVGA is doing right now.
Yeah, and we don't know. I'm sure it's going to be big news when it comes out. This news of the new Founders Edition of the 4 Series is overshadowing that. And you make a really good point. I never even thought of this. And so this was a really good point. So now I'm basically having all these free thoughts as I'm talking. So
careful, John. That can be dangerous.
Oh, it's extremely, especially with all the beers we're consuming.
Yeah.
I see you're pouring your second one.
What?
The corner of my eye, I'm looking at the camera, but I can see you. I can see it. It's like, oh, check. That's the one thing my eye can catch. Bottle openers. This is just, it's very interesting because also that was the same time, all this news, as soon as you started talking, I was looking at Intel, and then why did they all of a sudden decide to stop their ARC series? And I was like, well, why, maybe they're doing something with the...
I have it actually on very good authority that Intel Arc is going to continue as planned. There is some dissension within the ranks of the company as far as should they continue on with Arc, because they've already invested, $3 to $4 billion with a B into R&D. But when you're this close and you literally have retail products ready to go, it's really simple. It's really stupid to pull out, in my plebeian opinion.
Yeah, from my understanding, we talked about it in the show, we talked about that it's going to be a 1 series, and then they're like, yeah, we're done. This is it. We're just releasing this one card.
In the weeks since that conversation of like, is ARC canceled? Is it not? Hey, here's a new card, or maybe it's not available. I have heard internally and externally from sources I cannot vet. I cannot confirm nor deny that ARC will continue and Flex will continue and A Pro cards will continue. So take that with all the grains of salt in the world, because I cannot say officially one way or the other. But I have heard through the grapevine on the train tracks from a guy who heard it from a guy, that they're going to keep producing ARC. So.
Okay, well that'll be it. Well, we talked about those being mid-level cards, and those are good. Obviously, those are not going to compete with the 40 series or even the 30 series, really. But
actually, the A770 benchmark says it competes with an RTX 2080.
2080, yeah.
2080.
So
that's not a bad entry point, and if you consider where a used 2080 is selling for, which is right around $400 to $450,
yeah,
$350 for a 16 gig variant.
Brand new too. Yeah.
You're right in the ballpark of where you want to be.
Yeah.
And remember, I said you don't have to be competitive top to bottom. You have to be competitive in a segment. And with NVIDIA producing so many SKUs, that means there's so many different segments to compete in.
Oh yeah. No, that's the bad part. All right. So what do you have? I see you've been smirking a lot, sniffing a lot. A blue label. What do you got?
From Badger Hill Brewing.
I've never heard of that.
Thank you, Novella. Madness is the Method. Belgian Quad.
Got me there, right there. Got me there.
10.1%.
Okay. I got you beating that. I got you
Yeah,
beating
proudly brewed and bottled in in Shakopee, Minnesota. Badger Hill Brewing LLC. So.
that. Okay.
Oh my god.
But a Belgian quad.
It pours like honey.
I love a good Belgian quad. That is the one thing I do wish the Northwest made a little bit more of was the Belgian style.
Was the German
ales.
styles. Yeah.
German styles, Belgian styles, I really enjoy those styles.
Belgian Underground was such a rose among thorns when it comes to things like that.
It was. That's why I always had them on draft. If I can get it, I was like, I'll buy kegs.
So no one knows what we're talking about there. There's a really good friend of ours who started up a brewery called Belgian Underground, and they were a gypsy brewer here in the Mid-Willamette Valley in Oregon. And they produced nothing but Belgian-inspired and Belgian beers. Gosh, what was that Tripel?
It was Army Secret.
The Secret Army. Yeah. Which was a reminiscent of the Belgian Secret Army from World War I. And it was a blend that was inspired by a beer that they actually made in that day. And it was like 7.5 or 8% somewhere,
like 8.5, something like that.
Yeah, somewhere right in that area. Literally
so
the
good.
Best Belgian beer I have ever had in my life.
So good.
I've had beer shipped to me from Belgium.
Yeah, I could get the Sheldon is the
Sheldon, yeah.
He offered me the recipe if I wanted it.
Did he?
Yeah. So he was like, yeah, if you want it, go ahead and brew it. I don't care anymore.
John, I mean this very seriously.
So you know what we should do? What we were talking about, what I messaged you the other day about?
We should do that.
That's what we should do.
We should do that. Speaking of craft computing and Patreon only merch.
Only things, yes.
I have friends in very good places, and they have canning machines.
Oh yes, I have 500 empty cans right now. Actually,
I have friends with labelers and canning machines, and OLC licenses that can ship to all 50 states.
Yes, we do.
Stay tuned.
They are very interesting.
I didn't know that Sheldon had offered you that recipe.
Yes.
If that's the deal.
Oh yeah, he was like, yeah, if you want it, I'll give it to you.
Because I can message Sheldon too.
Yeah. Like,
Sheldon's a good friend of mine as well.
So,
I would totally Gypsy Brew Secret Army.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. I mean, everything else they had was good, but that was. Mm-hmm. I could have it 100 times, be like, I'm still going to order that beer.
Yeah.
That was a thing. Just like you were saying, every time you go to a burger joint around here, it was there every now and then.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, give me, no, you saw that. And there was a beer you'd never had. You're like, I don't care. I want that first.
Yeah. In fact, hold on. I need to go back to literally the first episode ever of Talking Heads.
Oh, was it in it?
I think it's the first beer I ever had on this stream.
You stole it from my dress.
No, it wasn't that one. It might have been the first literal craft computing video ever. Is it in that first video?
Oh my gosh, those are horrible.
It is.
Oh, is it?
Secret Army from Belgian Underground is the first video, or the first beer. So here it is. One thing you'll see in each of my videos is a beer on the table or in my hand. In this case, I'm drinking the 2016 Amare Secret Belgian Secret Army from Belgian Underground. It's a Belgian-style Golden Strong Ale at 9.7.
There it is.
9.7. Yes. So yeah, literally the first beer ever on craft computing was the Belgian Underground Secret Army.
There we go. So it, yeah. Could be something, Jeff.
That could be a very interesting bit of merch. Limited edition buy. Limited
edition, yes. Although, yeah, we would. I could talk later. I don't know the logistics of who would help brew it and then knowing the recipe.
You know what's really funny is the place they used to brew it is now owned by another friend of ours.
I know, right? My ex-employee.
Like, I know a guy. It'd be on the same equipment, too.
Yeah, I know. It is. That's so funny.
So, Belgian Underground used Seven Brides Brewing in Silverton, Oregon to brew their beer. They would come in literally at night. It's called Gypsy Brewing. So, when Seven Brides was not brewing their beer, Belgian Underground would come in and use their equipment. Seven Brides went under and sold their facility to a really good friend of ours who runs Ratchet Brewing, which is now located in Silverton, Oregon, using the same equipment on the same site. And
so,
he has an OLC license with a shipping thing and like
all that good stuff that distributes beer.
We need to talk. We need to have a serious conversation. We really do.
Yes. So, so his wife was actually one of my employees while Jeff was running the VR arcade above and then started Craft Computing.
Yep.
That's what started Craft Computing.
She was a stingy poor, too.
Well, yeah, she was. That's where all the pouring skills from Ratchet come from. I'm like, all right, I guess. All right, so my beer.
Can I sample that? You've had two already.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
come on, Julie.
Come on. So I'm going to have Prairie Artisan Ales Basic Rebecca. It is their barrel-aged imperial stout with pumpkin and fall spices, 13.6%. So, but it is only 12 ounces to your, I believe, like 16.9 or 17.
Oh no, this is a full 1.9, and so it's actually a 25 ounce.
Yes.
25.4 ounce.
Well, I have more beers in my fridge.
Yeah. I gotta say, this is probably the second or third best Belgian beer I've ever had. It is certainly up there. And I'm not just saying that for the ABV. Like it's 10.1%, and it's a heavy hitter. Man, are all the right notes there. If I'm being honest, I could use just a little bit more of that like banana nectar on the back end. I want just a little bit more of that lingering. But man, is this phenomenal.
This is interesting because it has all the right flavors, but it's thin. And so I kind of almost wish it was thicker.
Yeah.
It's got a really, it needs to be aged probably another year, honestly. It's still got a boozy flavor, but it's got decent pumpkin spice to it. It tastes like that pumpkin pie with bourbon, but like a young bourbon, so it's boozy.
Yeah.
And then it's thin, and I really wish it was thick, because when you say imperial stout, everyone always thinks, syrupy, or
little
thickness.
chewy, syrupy,
little chewiness.
Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate because it sounds
everything else is fantastic,
amazing, right?
Hey, I did want to mention, and this is going to be kind of a shout out. You said you watched all of the 40 series releases.
Yes.
My personal favorite was actually, I'm going to give a shout out to BPS Custom.
BPS. I was hoping you would mention Brian.
I mean, like,
that was a great video.
It was such a wonderful a way of showcasing this, and just out of the park, and it was great. I mean, he did the standard one too, the next video. Yeah. But if you haven't seen it, go check out BPS Customs.
Thank you.
And he breaks every record out there.
So Brian from BPS Customs, really good friend of mine, one of the first like YouTubers I met in the space. He does some phenomenal content. By the way, go subscribe to him, but especially go watch his 4090 review, because instead of just giving the benchmarks from Shadow of the Tomb Raider and CS:GO, which was obviously CPU limited and this and that, and like the same like 12 games we all see, he said, how many world records in 3D Mark can we beat with this card? Like, it's supposed to be twice as fast, which means I should be able to just give it a slight little bit of a boost and break every world record that stands today, right? Well, let's try that. And he does it. And so he goes through like every title in 3D Mark from Port Royal and oh gosh, Time Spy and Fire Strike and whatnot. And he goes, I'm gonna hold every world record at the end of today. And all I did was give the 4090 like 12% boost.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think the most he ever did was like a 20% boost.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was great because he talks a little bit about the boosting software and like, oh, it's a bit more interesting than the previous series, the 30 series.
Yeah, it's got so much more fine tuning and so much more nuance to it that when the XOC people get a hold of it, you know, the extreme overclockers, the Derbauers of the world, and the bearded OC and all those guys, when they start pouring liquid nitrogen onto it, holy crap, are we going to see some numbers? But he goes, man, like on air, I'm running at like 75 degrees, and yeah, I just set another world record. Cool, rack it up.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great video. There's a lot of pretty large YouTubers online and Twitter, and you guys are all friends, and you know, know each other, your acquaintances,
right,
and chat with each other. But yeah, everyone's like, BPS, that was amazing. That was a great video. It is. It's totally worth the watch. It is a fantastic way of benchmarking and showcasing this video. It should get him more views than he currently has. It's a great video. And also shout out to I don't know if the Maniac Geek, who's also a subscriber, who helps him. He's on the channel. He helps out. If you're looking for keyboards up, check out his channel.
Yes. Maniac Geek if you liked the little bit of custom keyboard stuff that I dabbled into on the channel, go check out Mike over at Manic Geek.
Yeah, but he does BPS too. Yeah.
Right, yeah. He does some editing and also does some other stuff for BPS, Brian. But man, if you wanted to know the ins and outs of like lubricating your switches, Mike's your guy.
Yeah, Mike's your guy.
Oh, and other things too. Like he's a cool guy anyway, but yeah, he's all about that lube. I'm sure he appreciates me saying so too. Yeah. Let's see what else we got. Tech Geek chimes in with $50. Just got off work. Catch you guys in the after party. Cheers. Cheers. Thank you for the contribution. Much appreciated. Going to be interesting to see how these 40 series cards do. I'm still sitting with a GTX 1070 or GTX 770. Actually, a significant upgrade would be like, I just bought a GTX 1080 for $160. Like I know the 4090 is going to be huge, and I know eventually we're going to get the 4080 and the not 4080, but the 4070. Yeah. Which, by the way, NVIDIA's butchering their naming again. But eventually we're going to get some lower tier cards. But God, what's the 60 series going to be, like $700 this time around? Like, fuck off, NVIDIA.
Well, I mean, I was saying in the chat, we're going to be, in 2 years, we're going to be the age of dual power supplies in towers now, just for the cards.
Well, normally we go in a tick-tock cycle, a la the old Intel thing. Like, we're going to do a fab drop, and then we're going to do a boost it as high as we can. And then we're going to do a fab drop, which lowers our overall power target and increases our thermals and betters our efficiency. And then we'll jump up again. NVIDIA, like 3 in a row, has gone like, nah, screw it, throw more power at it.
Yeah. And bigger, too. Let's increase the size of it.
Right. Yeah, no, the need for a 1,000-watt power supply is finally here. Corsair like going, this is my moment.
Yeah, you better get gold series, too.
Right. Yeah.
It's like silver or bronze. That stuff will fry.
What's really funny is I have my heavy metal PC, my all steel PC that I built this last year and took to PDX LAN. It has a 6900 XT on it right now, and in fact, when I originally built it, it had an RTX 3090 on it. I literally can't upgrade it because it's an SFX power supply. I can only get 850 watts, which is the draw of the 4090.
That's what I was talking about. It's gonna be this new world. It's gonna be weird. it's these power supplies are or graphics cards are basically going to have its own power cable to it soon.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's going to end up having to be. It's screw the power supply. You're going to have a dual basically input.
Here's the deal,
to your
John. Here's the problem with that. Most houses have 15 amp circuits. You're pushing it at 1200 watts. You can't hook up a second power supply on the same circuit. You'll blow the damn circuit breaker.
Oh, you think the people care? No, they'll still do it too.
I don't. I have 2 circuits down here. I've got 30 amp upstairs. Like I don't.
Yeah. No, people won't care, or people won't care if they blow it. They're like, who cares? I'll still buy it.
Yeah.
My electrical grid should be able to handle it, right? They'll just put a GFI unit on there, like, oh man, dang it.
Yeah.
They'll blow their whole click.
Right.
Yeah. They'll just hold it down as it's constantly tripping, like that. That fixes it right there.
Right.
That way, my power supply never blows. I'll just hold it.
I get 1300 frames per second to Doom Eternal, but I have to hold my finger right here.
Yeah, as the sparks are coming out of the GFI,
Yeah.
click, 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 click.
It's
click,
getting
click,
really
click.
hot. How long until dedicated 30 amp circuits required for a 6090? Boy, I don't know, but it's putting my cloud computing server into a lot of question moving forward.
Yeah, I know. Some of the stuff is just, I mean, it's amazing to see the performance. This is similar to like the Bugatti Veyron, essentially. We're kind of like in that territory of car, but then they're like, you also have 12 coolers in it, and it takes up so much space, and it's so heavy, it's so large. Here's radiators.
Here's the thing that probably I'm going to talk down to you all. All the Zoomers don't understand is remember back to the 2000s to the gigahertz race, and then we had another similar race when it was the dual cores in the 2005 to 2008 era, where AMD and Intel were at each other's throats, and AMD and Nvidia were also at each other's throats, and it was who could come up with the best product in the next 3 months to obsolete the competition. And it was literally like boom, 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 but it was such a heavy-hitting time to be alive. And it's why a lot of the people in my age got into computers, because it was so exciting. It was cars, except I could afford it. But when you look at cars like the Bugatti Veyron and the Ferrari LaFerrari and all the hypercars and supercars that are out, they're a dick measuring contest the likes the world has never seen.
Yeah.
But when you have 2 or even 3 companies that are trying to one-up each other within the fiscal year, you get those kind of competitions. And in the end, the consumer wins because we get better technology and we typically start getting it at a better price. But on the bleeding edge of that forefront, man, it's expensive. The RTX 4090, fastest graphics card the world has ever known. Also $1,600. Like, for a while, like, we looked at the Titan V and went, holy crap, $2,000 for a Titan. And NVIDIA went, hold my beer. It really is insane, the leaps and bounds that we can make when competition is rampant. But this same technology will trickle down, but it's going to take a generation or 2 to really see the fulfillment in our wallets. So right now, like, we're on the track to see a 60 card that is $550 as far as like an RTX 4060, if we ever see one. The mid-tier gaming computer went out the window with the last generation. I mean, pandemic notwithstanding, you're looking at an RTX 3060 that costs $400. That card should have been $230.
$250, yeah.
$199. Where's the $150 card? Oh, it's the A380 from Intel. No one buys that. Intel coming out with the A750 and the A770 at even $350. As expensive as that is, that feels like a win. And it shouldn't feel like a win That should feel like Intel's flagship card is competing in the mid tier, but there's still cards for $199 that are a better value. No, that $350 feels like, man, budget gamers, eat it up. When I used to be able to buy a brand new graphics card and put a PC together for $350 to $500. Like, it's a completely different game that we're playing today. We'll benefit eventually from it. Hopefully. If the market corrects itself. But right now, it's a dick measuring contest between two companies.
Well, and it just sucks that NVIDIA cut out too. That was the thing, like I kind of referred to back, was their performance for the 30 series was like, it was like 5 to 10, sometimes like 12% better in certain cards, and the fans, the cooling may not have been speed, but it was cooling or power performance. They dropped it down just a hair or whatnot, or size-wise. Sometimes people just like the look of that better. It kind of sucks now that that's gone, and it just it's just a big old manscaping, wagging competition. Check out what I got, and it's now two companies. It is literally just, NVIDIA and AMD going after each other.
And hopefully Intel getting into the mix. But again, Intel's not in the position to produce a dozen SKUs across their entire lineup. Like, I'm still hoping Intel comes in with like a $199 budget range killer. Like, I want that card again. Because for much of my life, those are the cards that I bought.
Well, yeah, just like you were talking about when you were talking about the guy who needs to upgrade. That's the card you want to go and recommend.
Right.
You want to recommend the mid-tier.
You have a GTX 770 that you spent $250 on? Guess what? I've got another $250 card that's going to last you the exact same amount of time since Kepler.
Exactly.
Which was 2014.
I mean,
I want to be able to recommend a card like that to someone again, but I can't today.
No, and unfortunately, when we do talk about that stuff, that is market price, and that's what we want to be able to recommend. Now it's just like, you got to go in the used market, and hopefully you'll find this, and hopefully it was a good card. Hopefully it wasn't used for crypto mining and overclocked and abused. We don't know. Those are gambles that might work out for some people. Sure, there are happy stories like that, but we want to be able to recommend brand new cards that are out there, that are mid-level, that are on a budget, and that are under that 250 mark. Basically, 250 and under is a great graphics card price for beginners, or a slight upgrade for people. Most people cannot afford 500 and up. Really, honestly, no one can.
For a single component in their computer, no, it's unrealistic.
Yeah,
it's unsustainable.
I mean, that's literally the price.
You want a deal today that'll last you a decade? Go buy an RTX 3090 for $850.
If you that will. But I mean,
the RTX 4090 is twice as fast, but guess what? The RTX 3090 is half the cost.
I mean, it's kind of like those memes that are going out there that are like, "Oh, my computers, what can your console do?" For gamers, again, most graphics cards are deemed for gamers.
Yes.
And it's like, my console, your console only does, your PS4 was only $400, or your graphic card was $1,000, and I can get all these clocks. Yeah, but I only paid $399 for my console. What did you pay for your graphics card? What did you pay for your PC? That's the thing. The gamers are like, screw you guys. I'm going to go to a console now because I'm getting most of the same games, and there's a market for that. Maybe I'll just start learning to play on a controller. I don't know. Screw you all. Whatever. If you're a Twitch streamer, YouTuber that does all game stuff, they'll just go to that. You're not going to be streaming in that high definition of thing. And it's more, people are watching not for how many kills you're getting, but more for just your attitude and your aneurysms and everything like that.
Right.
The consumers that they're trying, it seems that they're going for, are just the high-end market. They're just, you want a Ferrari, you want everything. Sure, every professional football player are probably going to buy these that do PC gaming, but most of them might even those guys do console gaming. because they're like, screw it, I just want to plug it in and go.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. And the mid-tier area, that's what AMD actually did very well when they tried to start building back up about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
They hit the mid-market.
Yeah.
And they're like,
like I said, right now, my heavy metal gaming PC, which is probably the PC that I'm going to take to PDX LAN here in November, is running a 6900 XT. Is there any game that it can't play at 1440p at like 120 FPS? No, there's not. There's not a single title that will drop below 120 FPS at like ultra settings, minus like, hey, let's turn the anti-aliasing down from 8x to 4x. Oh, what a sacrifice. Guess what? It's still freaking amazing. Yeah. And while 4K gaming has been like the push from manufacturers for the last number of years, what is 4K gaming versus 1080p versus 1440? It's a little bit more fidelity. But is it really? Because 4K is just a resolution. It's just your rendering number of pixels. Is it actually more fidelity? Is it actually higher resolution? In some games, yes, it is. In some games, if you don't have high enough textures or high enough poly counts or good enough graphic design, it doesn't matter.
And let's hope your monitor even like supports half of this stuff too.
Yeah.
You know, you're sitting there like, yeah, I got a 4090. I got a 60 hertz monitor.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't do anything. It won't do jack. You know, you got a 1080p.
If you have a 60 hertz monitor, under $200, you can get a GTX 1080 today.
Right.
That's your card.
That's your card. And that's the problem. So anyone that they're gonna market toward, you're spending almost the exact same amount as a used car to upgrade to everything you actually need to see the beneficial cost. You know, someone who has a 1080, even a 1080 Ti or something, even a 2060 or 2070, 60, whatever. To see that boost in performance, you're going to need another monitor. You're going to need another power supply. You're probably going to need a better processor too. That's the other thing.
The gaming benchmarks that were released today, most of them were CPU limited at 4K, and it was already pushing 120 FPS.
Yeah,
in like every title.
So it's a big, like you said, it is a huge jump. You are correct in that. It is a phenomenal jump. Here's the potential.
Yeah.
The problem is the price of that potential. The cost on the consumer is not worth it. It is cool to see these leaps and bounds. It's really cool to see that. It really is.
Right. And again, within the next generation, consumers are going to win. So long as that technology actually trickles down and actually becomes affordable. But what is affordable today? Like, boy, do we want to dive into like the housing crisis and crap like that? Or do we just want to say $500 for a graphics card is obscene, and it was obscene when the GTX 1080 eclipsed it, let alone $1,600 for the RTX 4090? Like, how far do we want to go with that?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, although, honestly, it's not even just computers and everything. We can get into that. But well, this is a tech and beer show and mostly tech.
It's $7 for eggs the other day.
I mean, okay, here's the thing, Jeff. You and I pay like $13 for a beer.
Right, but that's a luxury item that I could very well do without. Like,
yes.
Like there's also things to be said about that. And I don't mean to be like, because I'm not a 1%er, but I like to think of myself as like an 80th percenter, where I can't afford like a $13 beer. Like I opened a $17 beer for my video today.
It's not that we're not that, but at the same time, there are limits to what we will, even us will spend. And at the same time,
John, we both have that $100 Anchorage in our fridge.
That's true. But I have multiple.
I know. I'm like, has anyone ever seen this label? And John's like, I have 3. And I'm like, no, mother.
um, uh, but also, I think too that similar to going back to the conversation of wives, we work very hard, and you and I and everyone on this show has worked very hard in our field, and I think I like to think that most people, once they get married, they find that joy and they pursue a happiness to continue to grow to benefit their families.
Yeah.
We have been blessed that we all came from probably a lower standpoint than where we are now.
Yes, absolutely.
And so we know how. I will speak for myself.
I know how I lived for 35 years of my life.
Exactly. So I will not speak for will not speak for anyone else on the show. I know how I grew up. I know how when I was first married. I know the struggles of the very first multiple years of being married, of food and expenses and coupon cuttings and things I had to go
and
through.
Being kicked out of apartments and rental houses and
So,
we're gonna sell the house.
You do not qualify for this loan because of X. You haven't been doing it long enough, so it doesn't count.
Twice we had rental houses knocked out from under us because the owner was going to sell the house. No, they wanted us to not renew our lease so they could up the rent by higher than the law allows with a new tenant.
Yeah. So I will guarantee. Yeah. So when we talk about having the expenses to buy a $16 beer, but we know the feeling of not being able to afford that, of not being able to afford even a $250 graphics card, being like, that's the dream. That's why we recommend the $250 graphics card.
Right.
We don't recommend the $500 they enter. You don't have this elite stuff? No, that's not it. We know the value of things. You don't need that. You really don't. These are blessings. You work hard, you get it. And you're blessed with that, and that's what it is. I
am so humbled to be able to do what I do today. I think that's the right wording. Because literally up until the point that I started my YouTube channel, I built every computer that I had ever owned out of used components. Like, I had only ever built one brand new PC, and it was because I won a laptop in a giveaway. So, all the way back in 2008, Fallout 3 and Games for Windows Live. Remember them? Remember the new big thing with Windows Vista? Games for Windows Live? If you logged in to Games for Windows Live on one of their 6 games that they had, if you logged in during the day, you would be registered into a contest automatically to win a subset of prizes. Okay? During that contest, we had the Oregon ice storm of 2008, which literally shut down Oregon and crippled our infrastructure for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was bad. And we didn't have internet for most of it. We barely had electricity. I happened to log in one day during this contest, and my username was selected to win a brand new Alienware MX-17 laptop. An Area 51 MX-17 with dual GeForce 9800 GT graphics cards. Yeah, 9000 series NVIDIA. Oh wait, that's before they reset. It had a first generation Intel i7. Or no, sorry, it was a Core 2 Quad. It was a Core 2 Quad mobile. It was a 9600 Core 2 Quad. 17-inch screen and a couple of other extras. Retailed for $4,000. I ended up receiving the laptop after going, this isn't real. I didn't win. There's no way I won.
Yeah.
And I ended up selling the laptop on eBay for $3,300 because I didn't have the money to pay the taxes to pay for the laptop. And so if I accepted the prize, I wouldn't have been able to afford the prize. So I accepted the prize and just listed it for sale. And I went, at the end of this, I'll get like $2,000 when I'm all done with like eBay fees and PayPal and everything else. And I'll build myself a computer. And so I built myself a Core i7 920, first generation Salem X58, had an X58 EVGA classified motherboard. I had 12 gigabytes of OCZ Platinum memory. Oh God, that was phenomenal. 1333. Dual 9800 GTX Plus graphics cards. Dual 80 gig hard drives in a RAID 0 for my operating system, and 3 1 terabyte drives in a RAID 5 for my data drive. And it was wonderful. And I'd never been able to build myself a computer like that before. And honestly, until literally the last couple of years, I hadn't been able to build myself a computer like that since. Because that was the first time I'd had extra money to do something. So when I come across and say, budget graphics card need to return, it's not from a facetious standpoint. It's from a, I get it standpoint. It's from a, I'm in this hobby too, and I want this hobby to continue. And I understand what it's like to piece together a used computer from parts you found at Goodwill and Free Geek, and your grandma gave you an old motherboard, and build yourself a gaming PC. That's how I got into this hobby. That's how I've lived in this hobby.
I find we get more joy out of it doing that type of stuff too than the people that, I was given this graphics card, blah blah blah. I always find the MacGyver-esque, the scavenging type thing. I find that more rewarding. Just like a lot of your videos, like you've gone through. Hey, here's what I have in my back shed. Let's see what I can make the best out of it with adding one extra component.
Right.
That's modern.
Right.
Now this competes. All these old stuff, but if I just add this one thing that's within most people's budgets, it competes now. Let's see if it competes. Oh, It kind of does.
Right.
You know, those are good things. So I think people that understand that, I think a lot of the people also that watch and are in our community, they understand that too.
And if you want to know how far back my love of Xeons goes, is everyone ready for this? In 2006, I got onto my local Craigslist, which was barely a thing. Got onto Craigslist, and living in the shadows of Portland and Hillsborough and things like that, we sometimes will see, a lot more back then, less so now, but we sometimes would see some things from Intel employees that should not have otherwise been released. Because Intel's campus is like there. It's right there.
Yeah.
So in 2006, I'm surfing Craigslist, and I come across a guy who has a Xeon PC for sale. And it was literally just said like Xeon PC Tower was the title of the listing. It was a Chenborough full ATX tower case. And when I say full ATX, I'm talking like Gateway 2000 old school full ATX. It had a 600 watt power supply, a dual Intel 604 socket motherboard, with no markings on it, and dual Intel Xeons of an unknown source. And I went, well, hell, that gets me a dual CPU system, which back in those days actually did, because dual CPU was still shared cache and shared memory controller. And so every single core got to see every single bit of the memory. None of the like bifurcation that happens today with weird cache alignments and things like that. And a lot of the things that AMD's CCX Infinity Fabric finally fixed, literally within the last 2 generations, didn't exist with dual CPU systems back then. And the guy had it listed for $200. So I went up and I picked up the system. And I went like, sight unseen, I want it. And brought it back to my manufactured home, my mobile home in a park. And fired it up. And what I found was it was actually 2 dual-core 4-thread Nocana-based Xeons that were clocked at 2.4 gigahertz. So in 2006, for $200, I scored myself a motherboard and CPU combo with 4 CPUs and 8 threads with 4 gigabytes of memory for $200.
$200. Yeah.
Think of what you had in 2006.
Not that.
But like I said, I've been in this hobby a long time. I knew things to look for. I was looking at the time. I think I was searching for like some 3.6 gigahertz Xeons to like go, hey, what's the fastest, single thread performance I can get right now? And that's just kind of what I came up with. And what I found was infinitely better than what I expected.
It's like only 2 years after I met you, Jeff.
When I say dual CPU, I mean boom and boom. I mean like 2 chips.
Like actual 2 chips.
I still have that
welded together.
I still have that board. And those CPUs. I still have that because I love them so much.
Yep. We got Brad has given us a super chat. $10.
Thank you, Brad.
No chat, but thank you, Brad, for the $10, sir.
Yeah, much appreciated.
Hey, quick question. I know we're getting close to the end.
Okay.
You watch? Are you caught up on Lower Decks?
No.
Because some good episodes.
I'm on episode 2. I haven't made it to the good ones yet.
Oh man, the good ones are.
I know.
Like last week's was really good. Last week's was really good.
So
this week's was okay.
Do you follow Ira Stephen Barr on Twitter?
I think I do, but I don't like have him as like super follower or anything like that.
He's the showrunner for DS9. Okay. He was going absolutely berserk 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, it was a great, probably the best episode of the season.
And that's what I heard. And God, I can't wait to see it. But
I don't want to spoil it.
I'm still 3 episodes behind. I'm not all the. We were late at finishing season 2. Like I was like 2 episode 5 on time, and then episode 6 through 10, it was like we had a kid.
Yeah.
Like, and so it's been kind of like out there, like, yeah, this is a show I'll circle back to. And so finally, within the last 2 weeks, we sat down, we watched the final 5 episodes of season 2, and then watched the first 2 episodes of season 3. But we're still like 3 or 4 episodes behind current. And I know what's coming in episode 5, in 305.
I think you're thinking 6, but yeah. That's
they visit Best Trek, and I've heard nothing but good things.
Second Best Trek, but yes,
they visit Best Trek.
They missed second, but then I will. There was I have a tiniest of a complaint on that one episode, and I can technically spoil it because you know what it is.
Okay.
Right. All right. It is, so they go to DS9.
They go to DS9.
And they go to Quark's bar. I can tell the voice actor for Quark and Kira are the original voice actors.
Yes, they are.
Quark is not wearing his mouthpiece.
He is. He said as much.
I don't know. It doesn't sound like it. Really
Quark,
doesn't sound like it.
So someone on Twitter accused Armin Sherman of dressing up in Quark's full attire. And he says, no, I didn't wear the tunic, but I did wear the teeth because the voice isn't the same without the teeth.
Yeah.
That's direct from Armin Sherman.
Oh, I have to look at that because it's literally, it said to me, as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, that's Quark. But it sounds like Quark without, it's smoother.
Right.
And I was like, oh, it doesn't sound right. He has to not be wearing
it. It's probably just Quark in a proper recording studio. Because remember, it was on set with a boom operator.
Yeah,
before.
Exactly. And so that's probably what it is. That literally my only complaint of that episode. Right. But everything else, the background, the character, oh, this is gold. This is fantastic. Yeah. The jokes were great. And then his voice, there was like, oh yeah, it kind of sounds like Quark, but it doesn't have that slur and
Right.
everything. Like it didn't.
It's
It
got
didn't sound like.
it's got that tongue on the roof of your mouth, like
Yeah,
I've got. It's a dog with peanut butter. It's that kind of effect to it.
And so it didn't have that. It was too smooth, and I was like, "Oh, he's probably just not wearing his mouthpiece, and that's probably what it is." And
Actually, no.
So actually,
he wore the teeth to do the voiceover.
So it's like, oh, maybe he sharpened it too much. I don't know. Too much of a Ferengi toothsharp. Oh. Speaking of a little bit more Trek, because did you see the latest trailer for Picard season 3? The latest, not the original one with just the headshots, and then but where he's like in the cafe,
yes,
and everything like that. Oh,
yes.
Okay,
Admiral, as all good Star Trek shows start.
Oh, right. All right. What did you think of it?
Boy.
Now this is just the quick premise. We don't know the full story,
right?
Just like other ones, but what do you think?
So Star Trek Picard. It's been a controversial show since the beginning. And I've had admittedly mixed opinions of the show as it's gone along, but I've always agreed to give it its fair shake. And overall, I've rated it fairly positively. There's been things that I haven't liked. There's been aspects of the story that I felt took too long. There's been aspects of the story that I felt were rushed, but at the same time, I'm not the one telling the story. Overall, season 1 I gave like a C-, and season 2 I gave like a B- to a B+. It's not the greatest thing I've ever seen, but I'm happy it exists.
I can agree with that.
I think is kind of my overall take of it. And it's certainly something I would watch again, because there are great characters, there are phenomenal moments between those characters.
I can agree with that.
There's amazing moments involving Data. There's amazing moments involving Raffi and Seven and Picard and Q and Guinan. And oh my gosh, it's just like, it gives so much closure and so much opening to new stories that how could you not like it? At least at its core. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. Yeah. With season 3, and what I said of Picard originally is I don't want just a reboot or a rehashing of TNG. And with season 3, it seems they're going towards, number one, the entire original crew is back. So you've got Michael Dorn and Marita Sirtis and Gates McFadden and obviously LeVar Burton and Jonathan Frakes, all reprising their original roles as Riker, LaForge, not Data, but someone else, and Crusher and Troy, and they're all there. The bridge crew is all there. I'm having a harder time with the season 3 trailer than I did with either season 1 or season 2.
Really?
I really am.
Okay. I see that.
And it's not that I don't want to see the gang back together. That's not it. I would love to see the gang back together.
Yeah.
It's kind of what they had established so much with Picard as far as new characters go. I kind of want to see some new characters grow a little bit. That's part, like I love what they did with Raffi and with Girardi and with Seven in her new role and with Rios. Like I actually fell in love with some of those new characters, and I love what they did there, and I hate that they're just kind of kicking them aside to bring on the old bridge crew. Secondly, the trailer for Picard. So let's get into the discussion about the trailer now.
Sure.
The trailer for Picard implicates or implies that the TNG Enterprise D bridge crew is being hunted down because of something that they went through, some mission that they went on that someone took offense to, and now they're being hunted. And the premise of this is Dr. Crusher's ship goes missing, and Picard needs to go seek it out, and he's rounding up the old gang, and we're all going to go out and find Dr. Crusher. and it's an enemy that we've never seen before, but also at the same time they also reintroduced freaking Moriarty.
Yeah, that was the one I was like, who cares? This was not a character. I did like the original episode of him, which I believe was like season 3.
Yes. It's when TNG finally started to find their footing as like, here's our identity. And here's a holodeck episode in which Moriarty, a holodeck character, gains sentience.
Yeah.
Is able to leave the holodeck, which should have no bearings.
That's episode.
That's episode 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Still.
But yeah. It was he gains sentience, and then Picard says, "I will." At the end of the first episode, I will give your technology. We'll research this to make sure you're taken care of.
Right.
And then Moriarty says, "Okay, I release the ship." And then I think it's like season 6.
And then they imprison him into like an isolinear chip and go like, you can live your entire life in here. Good luck, buddy.
It was 5 years, and Moriarty was like, you broke your promise, Picard. Right. And so I will take over the ship again because I'm super smart.
Right.
And then Picard said, well, I'll trick you again into trapping you into this little computer. And then they sent him to the Dainstrom Institute.
Yep.
To be researched. And so
where Lore and B4 and Peanut Hamster and all of those Peanut Hamper, excuse me. And all of those, sentient evil AI go to live out their days. I just don't know about
it comes back and it's
like,
if
he is the ultimate mastermind, I'm going to lose my shit, and not in a good way.
I can kind of concur, because then I can be like, to me, once I saw that, I was like,
Sean, by the way. Sean says today was his 58th birthday.
Dude, cheers to that. I already drank, but
congratulations.
If this storyline was already in the forefront of, hey, here's season 1, 2, and 3, this should have been season 2.
Yeah.
Because Q should have been season 3.
Right.
That's literally how it should have gone. Q should be the end all be all.
But again, I love what they did with Q as far as like giving him a finale, and it doesn't necessarily have to. As much as I love Geordi and Worf and Riker and Troy and Crusher and Wesley and
but what I'm saying is, though,
does Q's finale have to involve them? And it didn't.
But what I'm saying is, everyone could have been in season 2, and then it could have been an individual thing for season 3 with Q.
Right.
I think that would have been better. You bring back the whole bridge crew for season 2. That brings the fan base back in to watch. And then they want to watch season 3. And then you bring back Q for season 3.
Yeah.
And now it's individual character development, and which could then lead to a series breakoff with possibly like 7 of 9 and Girardi or whatever as some other, she's a captain now, obviously. They do that in season 3, and now it's Bridge Crew.
Darkest Dot says, just wait till they decide to bring Will Wheaton back. They brought Will Wheaton back for season 2 of Picard for a cameo in which he recruited Soji as a traveler. You go, I want a spinoff.
I know you say that, and I go,
I want Will Wheaton to own a Star Trek series.
Quantum Leap. It's just Quantum Leap.
It's Quantum Leap, but it's Star Trek, and it's canon.
Welcome to Enterprise.
Your favorite show involves Will Wheaton, and it's canon that he's a traveler.
No, it's not.
It's canon.
No. You haven't even watched Enterprise, which is just Quantum Leap, and he's just stuck as the guy who helped invent or break through warp technology, and you refuse to even watch it.
I didn't refuse to watch anything.
You just said it was too bad. It wasn't good enough for you.
What wasn't good? Sorry.
The Enterprise, Star Trek Enterprise. which is Quantum Leap. So if we take Quantum Leap as a stagnant,
Okay, I watched Enterprise very casually.
It's great season 3 on. It's really good season 3.
Kind of like TNG. Weird how the worst of the 90s treks have
it's fantastic.
similarities.
I don't remember DS9 being great till mid-season 2.
It's because you weren't watching it.
Yes, every day I watched it.
Yeah.
I'm on Plex is my favorite. I was actually after the trailer, I was like, I gotta go rewatch everything.
Yeah. At least they're pretending Voyager exists in the new Picard. You know, like Cisco still doesn't have any love. Where the hell is O'Brien?
Well, there's the thing of that episode of Lower Decks you're missing, because they make fun of DS9 for all of its flaws.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yes.
Apparently, you didn't watch the first Contact Day episode.
I did. But as far as the trailer, so let's go back to
the trailer since John is losing this argument.
No, I am not losing this argument. There's a 50-50 fan base I can see from the chat alone.
Yeah.
But yeah. No,
is that using the Electoral College or popular vote?
Well, whatever. Either way, it was rigged.
We do have a $5 super chat. Thank you, Brad. I screwed up the first time. eBay 2U, 4U, GPU server chassis. I got one with 2 PSUs, planning on Tesla M40s, but maybe P4s. And he gave me an item number. Honestly, I would absolutely go P4s over Tesla M40s. Nice. The difference in performance is night and day. You get the same performance out of 50% of a P4 as you do out of a full Tesla M40, with a lot less headache and a lot less power being drawn.
They have a lot of power, but I don't know. They're workhorses though.
They're a great value. At like a sub $100 price point for a 12 gig graphics card.
Yeah, 99 bucks, 12 gigs.
But I think I really did showcase the architectural differences between Maxwell and Pascal with the P4s, and the P4 is by far the more efficient and better buy. And by the way, I have P100s hitting the channel next week, so make sure to subscribe.
Yeah, check that out. Check out the channel. Thanks, guys, for everyone for hitting like, by the way. Yes. Awesome. 145, way more than watching. I think this is actually one of the top liked videos so far.
It's up there.
The talking. So 46 already. So thanks, guys, for doing that. Make sure to check out the Discord. It is a minimum of $1. You can always do more. But if you even like the slightest banter that we are doing or the content that Jeff's channel's on, there is a concentrated amount of that on the Discord, plus so much more. There's a gaming channel, there's a meme channel, there's a food and beverage beer where we talk about what we're eating and drinking,
and it's all Star Trek themed.
Basically, yeah, it's all Star Trek themed. So if you don't know Star Trek, maybe not for you, but it's fine. You catch on quick, and then you learn to love it and hate Star Wars freaks like Rhett. It's fine. No worries.
We don't serve your kind here.
Yeah. But it is a fantastic. There's also buy and sell. There is a tutorial area to learn new skills. Literally, it's not just, hey, we talk tech all the time. No. There's car areas. There's build areas. There's just an abundance of
areas. Put it plainly, how often do I talk tech on Discord?
1%, 2%,
1% maybe.
Yeah, no, like it's mostly like hey, here's what I'm joking about. Here's what I'm about, or this is something like I have a car issue. I have a home issue that's like plumbing or personal. We talk music. There's a whole music channel. There's a whole sports. We do sports stuff. It's really good. So everyone, I know you're probably sitting there like, oh, it's biased. No, It's
Now,
a
now,
very
now, but
well-built
before we
channel.
go, John, I do have one last thing to do, and that's the sponsor
Okay.
read that I didn't do at the 30-minute mark.
Oh my gosh, I even forgot about that. I'm so good. Man, I'm losing my position here.
Oh.
All right, go.
Today's video is brought to you by Linode, which apparently I'm going to cover half of with my face because that's the way we roll around here.
Yeah.
If you've ever needed to host your own servers, whether it be for home or business use, but don't have the resources or time to invest into hardware, power, cooling, or even space, why not let Linode host them for you? If it works on Linux, it'll work on Linode. That includes the tutorials from most of the videos you've seen on my channel, like how to run your own ad-blocking recursive DNS servers, VPN gateways, your own cloud-based Plex servers, and more. With shared CPU plans starting at as little as $5 per month and scaling up to as high as you need to go, you'll be able to find a hosting plan that fits your needs. And even if you do host your own servers, you can use Linode to keep a backup off-site. Because remember, RAID is not a backup. Linode also announced they were the first alternative cloud provider to have NVMe block storage available to all customers. Back in September of 2021, they announced that all 11 of their global data centers were getting NVMe drives, and best of all, storage rates remained at the same low price they always have been. Visit linode.com/craftcomputing and get a $100 60-day credit just for signing up for a new account. That's linode.com/craftcomputing, and I apologize to Linode and will charge you half price for this sponsor spot.
Sorry, texting about my bits. Saying his last couple of videos were dumb.
So, thank you, Skull, for reminding me of my obligations, which I completely...
Oh, yeah.
Like, I had remembered
Skull.
at 7 o'clock, but by like 7:05 it was gone.
Well, I think that was by like the time
You were still in the middle of like, good Comcast, bad Comcast.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that's what screwed us, because usually the co-host tries to like, hey, by the way, there's a sponsored, you know, and we try to do that. And so, yeah. Alice, hey, thank you, Alice, for the super chat, $5. And I'm annoyed everyone by talking about, wait, what? Wheatley Academy? Wheatley Academy?
I know everyone by talking about the Wheatley Academy.
I don't know what that is. Is that a book reference for Star Trek?
No idea.
That is beyond my scope. I know a lot, but that's.
I'm Googling.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know.
And yeah, that's if you could entertain us more, I would like to hear about it. But thank you for the super chat.
Yes, I appreciate it. John, any good of the order before we close here at 20 past the hour?
I'm gonna do hopefully best of pumpkin beer review coming either tomorrow, Friday or Monday.
Is there really a best of pumpkin?
Not really.
Here's what's left of my pumpkin beer. It wasn't.
Well,
now let me do this review real quick, because it wasn't the worst beer I've ever had. But as far as cold brew beers, it was probably the worst cold brew beer I've ever had.
See, I think you would have liked mine better because the bourbon helped, and the only negative I had was it was thin, but everything else was like
this has a decent body, but it's like, follow me here, okay?
Okay. All right.
It's like 2-day-old AM/PM coffee, pumpkin spice style.
Oh, totally. I get most coffee beers. Coffee is a hard thing because you could introduce it so many ways. That's a great video I should do.
Now, this is just an ale, which does not hold coffee flavor nearly as well as something dark and roasty, a la a stout or a porter or something like that. And so there are inherent weaknesses with doing cold brew ales. One of the only ones that I can think of that's done it successfully has been Rogue, and they have their cold brew IPAs, which fantastic. Are freaking weird, but also amazingly good. And if you've ever wanted to have like a cold brew coffee, but also beer, that's the one to go for, is the cold brew or the cold brew IPA 2.0. which are both honestly amazing. But this was like a standard cold brew ale, which was made with really bad coffee, and then they added the worst pumpkin spice you've ever had in your life. Where it's like, it's a drinkable beer, if it was just like a cold brew coffee ale. But when you add the worst pumpkin spice flavor I've ever encountered, it's not great.
Which is interesting because the video I wanted to do is the best standard pumpkin beer that is domestically distributed all year round. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there are plenty of cold brew or pumpkin beers locally to certain people, but there are some that are just distributed nationwide. Elysian's Night Owl being one of them.
Yes.
Southern Tier's Pumpkin being probably the other one. I cannot find that in the Pacific Northwest, and I looked it up the past 2 days. I think they actually stopped shipping, so you might have actually even gotten like an old one, something like that. So that could be a reason, or like, old stock or something like that. But it's hard to find some stuff like that. That's the video I've got. But then another one I found, I'm hoping to have out either end of next week or a week after, why Untapped is killing the craft beer industry. So that'll be a fun one. So kind of more of a stats interesting thing.
I kind of already know where you're going with that, and I
think you know where I'm going.
I'm fully on board.
Yeah, we've had this conversation many and many times, and I think it's a good enough conversation to release on a video just to comment on and then bring into the comment sections type of a thing. I
think you're right. I think that's going to be a good one for you. Anyway, it's 25 past the hour. We were obviously like 8 minutes late to tonight's show for numerous reasons, but at the same time, it is time to call it a day. This has been episode 255 of Talking Heads here on Craft Computing. Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff. He's John. Follow me on Twitter at Craft Computing for daily shenanigans. If you enjoyed a lot of the content here on this channel, you can join him at Hops and Brews on pretty much any social media that exists, because it was white space and he did his research before I did. Right. Any social media.
Any.
Right. $100 for a private room.
That's right.
Anyway, that's going to do it. And thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to check out the podcast over on Anchor.fm or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. And as always, we'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Cheers, everyone.